Howdy y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. If this is your first time joining me, welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is not your first time joining me, welcome back. I'm so happy that all of you are here. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the garden planning for the 2023 season. So it seems a little weird, right? We're still in 2022, but if you've been gardening any length of time, you know that in the middle of one season, you're already planning for the next. So that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today. The new year is coming up. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas, Yule holiday season. The new year will be here in just a few days, and then, you know, everybody always has a resolution or goals that they want to accomplish. I just have one word that's going to be kind of my goal for 2023, and that's organization. I always start out fantastically, but somewhere along the way, the chaos in my mind turns into the chaos everywhere else. So that's my biggest goal for 2023 is organization, and that includes being organized out in the garden. It's really easy to start too many seeds and not have a place that makes sense to put your plants, and then you're just piling them any old place. And then, you know, it's really easy to forget about pest management or to overwater or underwater or any of those types of things. So my goal, my one word of the year, is organization, starting with organizing my pantry and organizing the garden. So that's what we're going to talk about today for planning 2023. Now this is for spring going into summer, and then summer, because those things for the summer you kind of have to start quite a bit early. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want to talk to you about, it's super cold a lot of places. Right now it's pretty nice here in North Texas. A week ago it was frigid cold, but now it's pretty nice. It's in the mid 60s. There are some days that are supposed to be in the 70s. So it's kind of weird to be talking about beating the winter blues, so to speak. But if you're in a colder climate, you know, those very gray days can be very wearing on you. I know that. We do have some cloudy, rainy, ugly, not fun days. So one of the things that I like to do to get through those days is looking through seed catalogs. You can get a lot of these for free. I've actually ordered seeds from a lot of these companies, so they go ahead and they send me a catalog every year, which is great. Now, it could be dangerous for your pocketbook, but if you're really good at sticking to your seed budget, the best thing about these seed catalogs is a lot of times they will have like growing information in the catalog for you to reference. So right here you can kind of see how to plant. Some of them will tell you how to harvest, some of them will tell you diseases to look out for, ways to manage pests, stuff like that. So this is a fantastic free-ish resource that you can get, and you can start, you know, first of all, planning what seeds you want to buy and plant, but also how to keep them healthy and alive so that you can harvest them throughout the summer. So I have several that I flip through, you know, periodically throughout the winter. I take notes. I have my garden journal notebook here, and in here this is where I put my notes from books that I have read, as well as magazines. I will tear out some pages if like there's so much information that I just don't want to have handwritten notes, or they will have recipes, so I will just tear those out and I'll just put them in sheet protectors, and then, you know, I can recycle these once I have all the information out of them that I want. So that's one thing that you can do to kind of start planning for your 2023 garden. Knowledge, because knowledge is power, right? So after you're done purchasing your seeds and, you know, gathering information on how to grow them, you may need a way to store them. I have this 3-ring binder. It's very full with some like divided page protectors. Now I have this method because I'm very much an out of sight, out of mind person. If I can't see it directly, I forget that I own it. I forget that it exists. So this is the best way for me because then I can just flip through and remind myself what I have very easily, very quickly, and it reduces me purchasing duplicates of things. I've used other storage methods. I will actually put out a video on that soon, different ways so that you can store and organize your seed collection if you're like me and you basically have a seed store in your house. So once you have all of your seeds, you have them whatever way you're going to store them, that's whenever you start writing down your planting list, right? So by that I mean you need to know what date you're going to start your seeds, what date you're going to need to start hardening them off, what date you're going to transplant them, or even if they're going to be direct sown, whenever you're going to just direct sow those into your garden. So I actually have this garden planner right here. This is a Clyde's garden planner, and this red line, it actually is dual-sided, so it has your spring planting dates and then it has your fall planting dates. So for the spring, you will look for the last frost date, and that's going to be that red line, and you can slide it to wherever it needs to go, and then that's going to tell you when you're going to want to start or direct sow many of your different plant types. So my last frost date is March 15th, typically on average. So I put the red line right around March 15th, and then it's going to tell me whenever I can go ahead and start my seeds. So you can use this as kind of your guideline. And then I have a planner that actually has like a calendar and stuff inside of it. That way I can just write down, okay, this date you want to start these seeds, this date you want to transplant them outside, or harden them off, transplant outside, or direct sow outside. I'll have it all right here, and then I can just look at it day by day. And then one of the last things that I like to do is, weird vehicles driving by. One of the last things that I like to do whenever I'm pretending that I'm an organized human is I will create a seed inventory sheet that kind of goes along with the garden planner. And the garden planner, this is sort of just your master reference list here. So you can do this in Excel, you can handwrite it. I like to handwrite because it helps reinforce it in my mind what is going to happen. So I have columns: type, name, if it's indeterminate or determinate, the date that I sow the seed, the harden off date, and then the transplant date. So the type would be like tomato, pepper, basil, calendula, whatever it is will be written here, and then the name. So if it's tomato, Abe Lincoln, indeterminate, and then I'm gonna sow it whatever date that I start my seeds inside. So just as an example, for tomatoes, indoor, it says February 22nd on the Clyde's garden planner. So mid-February, you can start your pepper seeds your tomatoes and your pepper seeds inside. I typically do them a little bit sooner. As far as starting them sooner, that is a personal preference type thing, and it's also a space thing, because the sooner you start them inside, then you run the risk of having to uppot them once or twice before you even move them outside. The good thing about that is, at least here in North Texas, where it gets to be a bazillion degrees very quickly, usually towards the end of May, it becomes so hot that most tomatoes stop producing, and then they get sick and they die, and then you're done. The good thing about starting them a little bit early, if you have the space to be able to uppot them at least once, maybe twice, is those bigger tomatoes, the beefsteak, the heavier, the big plums, the ox hearts, you might actually be able to get a few of those to set and ripen before it gets too hot, and then you won't. Texas isn't really known for having beefsteak or even the big ox heart variety tomatoes because it gets so hot so quickly. So that's kind of one way to cheat the weather a little bit, but as I said, that is very space dependent, because whenever you start your seeds, one tray doesn't take up very much room, and you can have 36 different seeds in there. Once you up pot it into the next container, and then the next, it takes up more and more space. So you really have to make sure that you have the space to be able to do that. Last year, I ran out of space. I started too many seeds, which is a problem that I have. I started too many seeds. I ran out of space. I actually gave tons of tomato plants away to family and friends and even neighbors, just because I had so many and I didn't have the space to plant them. I didn't have the space to even keep them inside with the grow lights. So definitely keep that in mind. Whenever you're planting your garden, be realistic about what space you have. If you can only grow 20 tomato plants, only start maybe 24 tomato plants to kind of give you a little bit of wiggle room if you lose one or two. Don't be like me. Don't start double what you have space for. The other, now on the flip side of starting them early, one good thing is if something happens, like maybe a really bad storm comes in and there is a power outage and you're not able to keep those seedlings warm and they croak, by starting them early, you may have time to start a new batch. But if it happens late enough, you're not going to have time anyway. So that's kind of you have to weigh the risks against the benefits for your particular situation as far as starting seeds earlier than what the recommended date is. In years past, I have started on January 1st for peppers and tomatoes. I'm going to wait probably 2 weeks this year, simply because I don't have the space to just keep up potting continuously. Like I said, last year I just planted so many, it was very overwhelming trying to take care of them all, trying to figure out where to put them, trying to figure out where to keep them alive, all of that stuff. I'm trying to, as part of that organization word for 2023, I'm trying to be realistic with myself on what I can handle, what space I have to be able to transplant them outdoors for good, and you know, really trying to be mindful of all limitations. My own space, even the garden itself, it has limitations. So I'm trying to be mindful of all that whenever I am planning. So I am reading, I'm reading in the seed catalogs about how to grow certain things, bush beans, peppers, basil, all of those things that we love to eat here. I want to make sure that I'm doing my best to grow them to their best ability. I received 2 raised beds as a Christmas gift from my husband, which I am so thankful for. So that's going to be replacing a ton of the buckets and containers that I had last year. I actually put them where that entire pepper row was. So my current plan is to put my sweet peppers into one of my green stalks, because we like sweet peppers, but we don't like them as much as we like spicy peppers. So I want to make sure that I have lots of room in those raised beds to be able to grow spicy peppers with marigold and basil, and then okra behind them, because the okra hasn't fared so well in the bucket. So I'm going to attempt to grow them in the raised bed. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just terrible at growing okra, but I want to give them a chance to grow in a bigger space like the raised beds versus the buckets. So that's the last thing that I'm doing for planning, is figuring out where I'm going to put things. I have those 2 raised beds. They're 9.5 foot long, 2.5 foot wide, so I get quite a bit of growing space there. plus that green stalk, I will have 2 more green stalks that I'm going to be planting in. The freeze last week pretty much killed everything that was in both of them, in all 3 of them except the kale. So I'm kind of starting over in the green stalks, which is a good thing. I'm going to top them up with compost. That's also part of the planning, is making sure that I have all of the materials that I need. I will need soil for seed starting in around the 15th. Then I need compost to top off those raised beds that I got, and compost to top off all of my green stalks. So we're looking at a lot of compost. Then I'm just going to kind of sketch out how I'm going to plant everything, and that's something that I recommend for you as well. It doesn't have to be like super artistic. It can just be like boxes with little doodles in it. You just want to be able to clearly picture, kind of to scale, how you're going to fit all of your plants in your garden. So just draw out your raised beds or your container layout or whatever it is that you have, and just say, this is what I'm going to put here. This is how many will realistically fit here and grow well, and no more, or what have you. I don't believe I'm going to be upgrading the tomato patch to raised beds this year, unless something magical happens and I win the lottery without even playing it. So I am going to count how many containers are there, and that's how many tomato plants I'm going to have, is exactly that many. And then, I need to be able to add in basil and zinnias and nasturtiums and all of the flowers and things that I want to grow, sunflowers. That's why I have to go through this to figure out what I want to grow, when it needs to be planted, create my planting schedule, my planting list, sort of put that into my planner here, and go from there. Let's all hope that we can stay organized together for 2023. All of that being said, if there is something missing in my garden plan, please let me know in the comments, because like I said, I always have the best intentions of starting out organized in everything that I do, but somewhere in the middle, the chaos wins. So I'm trying to defeat the chaos this year. So garden plan is research, create my planting list, put the dates down according to these, and then by creating my planting list, I'm going through my seeds. Now I've already gone through this, and I have gotten rid of a lot of stuff that I have attempted to grow, and either we didn't like it, or it didn't grow well for me, or I bought it and I'm not sure why. So I do actually have a stack of seeds. They're all partially used, but just very slightly. There's plenty of seeds left in there. I am wanting them to go to someone that will use them. If you have a need or a want or a desire for those seeds, let me grab them so you can kind of see what I have. Please let me know. And if you're local, we can figure out a way for you to pick them up. If you're not local, we can talk about how to ship those to you. Give me just 1 second to grab that pile. Okay, all right. So, I mean, it's a good amount to be able to grow lots of food for yourself. There's even a few flower types in here as well. I just didn't have luck with them. That doesn't mean that you won't. It just means that I didn't. So I do have radishes, some golden squash. Squash grows really easy here. It's just the squash bugs defeat the plants so fast that I just don't have the patience to jack with them. There's also some different peppers. There's some different leafy greens, a couple of different eggplant, some, like I said, some flowers, some poppies, pansies, just a few different random flowers. There are a few tomatoes in here, some more leafy greens, cabbage, and yeah, so if you would like to give any of these a try, or you know someone that, you know, is a little hard on their luck, but they want to give gardening a shot, let me know. Let's figure out a good home for these, because I will not be using them and I don't want them to go to waste. I don't want to just throw them away. Like I said, they are all partially used, but they are all still perfectly usable. There's lots of life left in these packets, and they are all sealed closed, so you don't have to worry about the packages like leaking seeds everywhere while they're being shipped. So message me about that if you have any interest in it at all. Let's find those a good home. Other than that, let's plan a great garden for 2023, and I will see you guys next time. I hope you have a wonderful week, a wonderful new year, and I hope that if it's cold wherever you are, I hope that you are staying warm. Until next time, bye.